This podcast contains content related to child exploitation and criminal investigations. Listener discretion is strongly advised. The views expressed are those of the host and do not represent any official agency. All individuals discussed are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Somewhere in America, a screen flickered to life. On one side, a teenage boy in his bedroom, a phone propped on a desk, laughter echoing through his earbuds. On the other, a stranger whose name he didn't even know. What started as harmless curiosity, just chatting, ended with a recording, screenshots, threats. A boy who thought he was safe behind a screen suddenly found himself trapped by it. The app? Maybe one you don't recognize. It wasn't Omegle. Omegle's gone now. But the predators didn't disappear when the servers went dark. They just found new places to hide. I'm Lacy, and this is Chasing Shadows. Today, we're diving into the world that rose from Omegle's ashes. Emerald Chat, OmeTV, Chatroulette, and dozens of other clones that promise anonymity and connection, but often deliver exploitation and danger. These platforms might look new and shiny, but what happens inside them is anything but. To understand why these new apps are dangerous, we got to take a look back at where it all started. Omegle launched in 2009, marketed with a simple slogan: talk to strangers. And that's exactly what it allowed people to do. Click one button, and you were face to face or screen to screen with a random person somewhere in the world. It was marketed as spontaneous, exciting, and social. But almost immediately it became something else entirely. Behind the novelty, there was no real moderation, no age verification, no way to ensure that the person your child was talking to was another teenager or a 45-year-old predator sitting in a dark room hundreds or thousands of miles away. By 2013, law enforcement agencies around the world had identified Omegle as the top platform for online exploitation. Investigators tied it to grooming, sextortion, and even the live streaming of child sexual abuse. Over the next decade, the company made public statements about improving moderation. They were adding interest filters, video moderation, and AI scanning, but the truth? The system couldn't keep up. In November of 2023, after 10 years of lawsuits, advocacy pressure, and mounting evidence of child exploitation, Omegle finally did the right thing and shut down. Its founder posted a statement saying that running the platform had become a liability in today's internet climate. He wasn't wrong. The lawsuits were stacking up, but so were the cases, and so were the victims. For many parents, for many communities, the shutting down of Omegle seemed like a win. A notorious platform, a notorious hunting ground for predators, was gone. But those of us who worked these cases knew something else. Predators don't quit. They just migrate. And it didn't take long. Within weeks of Omegle shutting down, new sites popped up like mushrooms after a rainstorm. Emerald Chat, OmeTV, Chatroulette, Random Chat, Monkey. Each promising the same exact thing: instant and anonymous video chats with strangers. Some of them even used Omegle's old branding. Some of them even said that they were the new Omegle. They used the same interface, the same connect button, the same blue and white text boxes that Omegle used. If you didn't look closely, you wouldn't even know Omegle was gone. These platforms filled the vacuum left behind, and in some cases, they even went further, advertising themselves as the safer Omegle. But here's the truth. They aren't safe. Not even a little bit. These apps still allow anonymous access, no age verification, unmonitored live video, and instant rotation to new chat partners with a simple click of a button. Parents might hear moderation AI or age filters and they think that that's some kind of protection. But as an investigator who watches these systems up close, I can tell you that AI sometimes can't tell the difference between a 14-year-old girl and a 40-year-old man hidden in the shadows. It doesn't know when someone's recording or when a predator uses multiple devices to bypass filters. So even though Omegle is gone, its DNA, its design, its danger lives on in these new clones. So let me explain how these platforms work. When you go into one of these sites, the home screen looks simple. There's a big Start Chat button. Sometimes there's a box that allows you to type your interests. You can click Allow Camera Access, and just like that, you're live. No login, no username, and hardly any trace of your existence. Your child can go from sitting at their desk to broadcasting live video of themselves to a complete stranger in seconds. And what makes this so attractive is each time they click next, they're instantly connected to someone new, someone they don't know, someone whose intentions they can't even imagine, and someone who sits anywhere in the world. If the person on the other side shows nudity, behaves inappropriately, or records them, there's no recourse. The connection resets. The evidence vanishes. And this is where the predators thrive. They rely on the nature of these chats, these quick, transient, and untraceable chats, to hunt. When one victim leaves or resists, another one appears. When one platform cracks down and makes it more difficult for them to act inappropriately, they just migrate to another one. For investigators like me, it's trying to catch smoke with your hands. And this came close to home not too long ago. I want to tell you about a case from right here in the county. A teenage boy, a good kid from a good family. He'd been chatting online with someone he believed was a girl around his age. The conversation moves fast, jokes, compliments, then a couple photos. Before long, they were video chatting, and she turned off her camera because her parents were home, but encouraged him to keep his on. What he didn't realize was the person on the other end was recording everything. They recorded his video of him masturbating. And that's when the tone of the conversation changed. We talked about in our episode on sextortion how quickly this can happen, how quickly the trap is tripped. When he refused to send more explicit videos, the threat started. If you don't send me what I'll ask, I'll post what I have. I know who you are. I know your school. I know your friends. Send me money or I will ruin you. That's sextortion. And this time it started on Emerald Chat, one of the new, safer Omegle clones. We can't intervene in real time. But luckily, the teen didn't send any money. But the emotional damage was already done. Videos of him was out there. He was terrified, ashamed. We know how teenagers are. Something like this makes them feel like their entire world is going to collapse. And he's not alone. According to the FBI, hundreds of teenage boys across the country have fallen victim to sextortion cases that start exactly this way. Most originating from overseas offenders who exploit these apps for easy access. The offenders record, extort, and disappear. Many of these investigations never identify a suspect. But the trauma, the victim, that doesn't go anywhere. Sometimes that stays forever. Sometimes parents ask, what makes these apps so much worse than the others? And that's a pretty fair question. The answer comes down to three things: anonymity, instant access, and the illusion of safety. Let's talk about those things. Anonymity. There's no usernames, no accounts, no verification. Anyone can appear as anyone. And with the click of a button, they disappear just as quickly. They provide instant access, a new face every few seconds. Offenders can interact with hundreds of minors in a single night. When a minor shows up on their screen, they can be sitting there naked, just exposing themselves immediately. Before a minor can click off, they're exposed. They offer the illusion of safety. Some sites boast moderation, clean chat, or AI protection, but what that really means is automated keyword filtering, not an actual person watching for danger. For parents, this combination is a perfect storm. These apps are free, web-based, and work on any phone or tablet. I've seen kids find old laptops, old tablets, and connect them to the Wi-Fi and go on these sites, and the parents have no idea. And even if you block the app on the device, kids are smart. They can figure out ways to access them through the web browsers. And once they do it, there's no record. There's no chat log, no message history, nothing for you to find after the fact. And predators on these apps aren't looking for random adults. They're looking for children who appear unsupervised, vulnerable, or curious. Here's how it often works. They compliment the child or try to make them laugh. They quickly steer the conversation towards privacy, asking them to either go off cam or move to another app. Or if they're recording and they get a compromising image or video, they threaten exposure unless more are provided. In some cases, these predators even pay for the child to strip on camera, using Amazon gift cards or other forms of digital payment. The teen feels empowered. They have attention. They have money. And that combination is intoxicating. It can lead to a child continuing that behavior, exploiting themselves, and adding to the problem. In some cases, predators will pose as teen themselves, using pre-recorded videos or deepfakes to build trust. That's unfortunately becoming more common. Offenders replay videos of real teenagers so they appear authentic during chats. And because the connection is so fleeting, victims rarely ask questions. And as a law enforcement officer, I can tell you, this type of exploitation is growing faster than we can count. Omegle was a problem, but when it shut down, it didn't fix the problem. It just scattered it. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children will tell you that it receives thousands of reports monthly from similar sites, including OmeTV and Chatroulette, all since Omegle shut down. Of those reports, a growing percentage involve random video chat platforms and sextortion cases targeting teenage boys. Predators have realized that they don't need mainstream apps to find victims anymore. They've created their own playgrounds, invisible to parents, lightly moderated and accessible with a single click. So what can we do about it? Here's what I can tell every parent. Know the names. Apps like OmeTV, Emerald Chat, Chatroulette, Random Chat, Monkey. If your child mentions them or installs them, those are a red flag. These are dangerous places for kids. Control camera access on your kids' devices. Go into settings and require that they have your permission before an app can use the device's camera or microphone. Monitor screen time using other apps. We're going to talk about those apps in an upcoming episode. But apps like Bark, Aura, or TrueMe can detect risky behavior in new downloads. Talk about sextortion before it happens, not after. Make sure your child knows if they ever send something inappropriately, they can come to you. But the best time to come to you is before they send it. We're not looking for punishment. We're not looking for shame. We're just looking for safety. Check your kids' browser history. These sites often use web links, not apps. Look for URLs with chat in the name. And encourage transparency. Let your child know that they can show you weird or uncomfortable messages without fear. Because the most powerful safeguard we have isn't technology. It's trust. Unfortunately, in my career, I've seen the aftermath of these cases, the fear, the guilt, the anxiety that consumes victims. One mistake, one moment of curiosity, and they believe their lives are over. That's the cost of these platforms. They don't just expose children to predators. They weaponize their innocence against them. The boy from our case is doing good. He openly talked to me about what happened. He's part of why we tell these stories. To remind other kids that mistakes online don't define them, and that help is always available. Omegle might be gone, but what replaced it is not safer. These apps inherited the same danger, the same darkness, the same predators who once haunted Omegle's servers. As parents, educators, and investigators, we can't afford to get comfortable. Because every time we get a win and one site disappears, another one takes its place. Something newer, faster, and more deceptive than before. The truth is simple. The technology keeps changing, but the tactics don't. If we stop paying attention, the shadows grow again. If you got something from this episode, please share it. Please help us get the word out there. Please leave us a comment and a like and a subscribe. The more people that we can expose to this message, the safer our kids can be. I'm Sean Lacy, and this is Chasing Shadows. Thank you for listening, and thank you for standing with me in this fight.